Okay, so I share my screen. Just to say from whom was not present yesterday, I'm from the University of Bologna and I work with Claudio Porrini. And last year we performed the biomonitoring with honeybees on Albarella Island. But why we performed the biomonitoring with bees on the island? Because there is a big problem of mosquitoes on the island. So we wanted to evaluate the impact of the treatments against mosquitoes, basically the adulticide treatments based on pyrethroids and pyrethrum. So the monitoring station was quite central in the island, was in the fruit orchard near the lake. And this position allowed to cover almost the entire island because bees have a flight radius of 1.5 kilometers, which is also the extension of the island. This was the station made up of 3 hives provided with cages called underbasket to collect dead bees that you can see in this photo. And the station was installed on 24 March of 2021. And the week after, we started the count of dead bees to check the mortality. It is important that the mortality must not overcome the critical threshold of 125 bees per hive per week. You can see that until the end of June, the mortality was very high. But in the summer period, it fell down almost quite to zero. And this may be related to the problem of wasp, because there are some species of wasp that are used to eat dead bees, so they carry over the bodies of dead bees from the underbasket. And here you can see a wasp in action eating a dead bee. This photo was taken by our beekeeper. The beekeeper also tried to resolve this problem by constructing this special structure of plexiglass, but the wasp were still able to take off the dead bees, so the problem was not resolved. And here there are samples of dead bees that we prepared for the chemical analysis. We made basically 2 samples in spring and 3 samples in September. But despite this high mortality, the chemical analysis didn't find any residue of pesticides. So here reported here, no residue was found. We hypothesized that this may be related to the fact that in the period just before the sampling, it rained, so the rainfall maybe have washed the bees in a certain way, and so it maybe removed some eventual pesticides. The control of the strength of the colonies was also carried out, and you can see you can see that the number of bees reported here in the blue line remained quite stable during the period, but the brood grew. So this could be a problem because these 2 lines must be quite similar, and in this case they weren't. This is very clear in this image where we can see the brood that is not covered at all from adult bees. So this means that lots of dead lots of bees have died, even if we didn't find any bees in the under basket. Maybe to the wasp, but also because maybe bees have died in the field, we can't know it. Despite this high mortality and these bee losses, the hive produced a good, there have been a good production of honey, because every hive produced almost 15 kilos of honey, while other hives that are followed by the same beekeeper produced a lower quantity of honey. The other hives are in the territory of Regione Veneto, near Padua and Rovigo. We also carried out a periodical vegetational survey to identify the plants that could be visited by bees. And we made the identification of these plants also with the support of informatic tool like Driades. And we reported all this data in a sheet. I reported here an example of the month of August, where we signed different characteristics of the plants identified. So to carry out this vegetational analysis, we divided the island in different areas. The yellow ones were made by me, while we integrated also with the surveys carried out by Giulia Lanzani, which are in red, and also by Francesca Visentin, also from the University of Padova, in green. Here there is an example of a list of the plants found, for example, in the area 1. And in total, during the period, we had 300 reliefs. After that, we compared these vegetational surveys with the palynological analysis carried out on dead bees to see if there were any correspondence. And here there is an example of the matches that we found in the sample of May. In any case, especially for the samples of April and May, the correspondence was good, with 7 and 10 botanical families, while in September we only found a correspondence of 5 botanical families, but it raised to 8 by integrating the surveys carried out by Francesca Visentin. So we have a little higher percentage of correspondence. And from these comparisons, we could guess that the zone more visited by bees were that of the beach, and also the central zones reported here, 1, 2, and 4. With regard to the general biodiversity of plant species of the Albarella Island, we found that the higher number of species was present in May, for a total of 24 botanical families identified, while the lowest were in September and October. Despite the mortality and the problems we saw with the bees, the data we obtained were quite good, because we didn't find any pesticide residue, and also the high production of honey was a positive sign, maybe because of the presence of this species richness of plants that are usually visited by bees. So a good food availability for the bees, and maybe also because the treatments against the mosquitoes are carried out in compliance with the rules that must be applied to protect the useful insects. In any case, what we suggest to do is to increase the larvicidal fight, which is less impacting on the insects, and also to inform more the citizens in order to have a cooperation to carry out a more sustainable treatments of these insects. Thank you.